Hello, and welcome to another video of Verite Castus. Of course, we're here to profess your daily dose of doom and gloom, as per usual. It's only natural for our society. As you can see, I've been panning through this video here, but you know, a lot of people
We've been hearing a lot
now,
of strange rumors.
they're talking about artificial intelligence. And you know, the thing is, people like to profess it in such a way where they believe, oh, we're gonna have what was it? Universal Basic Income, UBI, I think they call it, or something along those lines, some kind of welfare, so that people in general are able to fixate themselves on more creative endeavors, or you know, actually enjoy their lives and indulge in more philosophical pursuits. But the reality couldn't be further from the truth. As one of the first initiatives for artificial intelligence, at least the advancement of it, was the artistic pursuit to leveraging all accomplishments of human history and all artistic pieces in general. There's enough of this stuff to where if you create a compendium of everything man has ever created, just the blending of all of these things, especially like after the .com era, with all of the freelance artists and so on, all the free art on the internet. There's so much content material here that you can have AI probably generate unique pieces for many decades, and even produce literary and cinematic works that are far superior to any of the absolute garbage that Hollywood has produced for the past probably like 15 years now. Basically, we're more or less screwed, and we've orchestrated our own demise. You know, they say PhD level super agents as far as the artificial intelligence goes, and yeah, to a certain extent, yeah, that's true. I mean, we're already at the point where we're questioning whether or not we should replace mid-level software engineers. And the thing about this is that when you get problems like that, people start getting laid off and so on, and those people get forced into other areas of the job market, and often they're accepted because of their expertise. And one area could be helpful towards others, like for example, someone who's a mid-level software engineer, or even someone who is junior or entry level, who's had some experience at the very least. They can apply to other jobs in like the IT space, or even cybersecurity, for that matter, and have jobs in that regard. It's just the biggest cash cow for a lot of these companies, as far as like overall like value for that company is generated by improvements and creation of software. And if these people can be replaced by mechanisms that are multiple times more efficient than they are at producing the same level of work, without any additional complexity, then of course they're going to be replaced with that object with no concern for the future. I mean, of course, maybe they suspect that in the future that they'll even be able to replace senior level engineers, and the only people who will be occupying any level of employment are people who are so excellent that you would never even be able to conceive of their intelligence. Honestly, the future is so abysmal and devoid of hope. It's kind of sickening at this point. No matter how much of an optimist you are, you can't really skew this to be any which way, because the people who are in possession of these technologies are not the sort of people who are benevolent at all. They have no consideration for humanity. They only care for the long term. Well, not even the long term, the short term profitability of whatever organization they hail from. And that's just how it is. And you know, these people are spurting all these things like, oh, this is to drive economic growth. Well, people need to ask themselves, what is the economy? What's the economy? You know, South Park once made an episode about this during, like a little after the Great Recession back in 2008. And, you know, everyone was like, oh, you gotta conserve your money, everybody's getting frivolous debt, and, you know, they're spending where they shouldn't be. It's like, well, yeah, that is part of the problem, that people were taking on excessive amounts of debt. That is part of the problem, but at the end of the day, the reason why the Great Recession ever even happened to begin with is because people stopped spending money. And that caused businesses to shutter that shouldn't have shuttered. It caused more people to lose their jobs. It caused a cascade failure effect that just annihilated the country. And the country still hasn't recovered from that catastrophic event. The amount of people who build homes, the amount of home builders there are, is still substantially less than it was before 2008, and that number hasn't recovered, which has also contributed to the housing crisis to a certain extent. But it's also the shift in what people deem as profitable as well. Obviously, no one can start families because everything that's being built now is either apartments, condos, or, you know, any other form of multi-level housing unit where multiple people basically live on the same square footage. But, you know, I just get tired of it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty exhausted. I've worked pretty hard. Just in the jobs that I have, you know, I've got ailments that hold me back and cause my job to be about probably 10 times harder than it should be, and can be a danger to myself and others, just because, you know, it's just how it is, especially if you work like more laborious labor. I can't be employed by the military, which fortunately for most people they can, so, you know, for people like me, jobs that I've done before, even the more physically taxing ones, they do not pay shit, and they require a vast array of skills that, that I have, but it is a vast array of skills where people, like, let's say, 20, 30 years ago would have gotten paid around $100,000 to know all of these things. Like, you're just a one-stop shop for everything, like general contract work, you know, just IT services, everything, pretty much. Like, you're basically a fucking inspector while you're at it as well. But you get paid only like maybe $28 an hour to do it, which is, which, like, if you have any ailments at all, let's say you're not in absolute perfect health, and what ailments you have are out of your control. You can't even live on your own necessarily. You have to have a roommate, which is also the reason why there's such odd upload times for a lot of these videos, is because I do it when I'm able, not when I can, not when I feel like it. It's just how it is. And this is how a lot of people live now. But a lot of people want to occupy the software dev jobs and so on because they're comfortable. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, everyone wants an easy job where all you do is type around on a computer all day. But, you know, there's a lot of really physically capable people out there who are not handicapped in any particular way, who can do the kind of work that I've done, but yet they get to sit in a fucking office. You know, and I'm sure there are a ton of people who feel this way, who are in this situation, because I'm in this situation. I've worked with people in this situation. Like that one job I was speaking of before, which was pretty physically taxing. It was basically not necessarily construction, but kind of, I guess. I mean, it was the one-stop shop type deal, right? I had a coworker who also had the same ailment I did, and you know, he would always tell me about. He was like 50 some years old by the time he quit to go work at some like random insurance company, which I'm sure his job's probably going to be taken by AI soon. And he was telling me about all the health problems he's been having, and I just sat there and I was thinking to myself, you know, I was aware of all those health issues, but you know, I wasn't exactly clued into how pertinent it was to my situation until I started doing the work and realized how much damage I had to cause to myself in order to make sure that I could complete the work in a timely manner without having to be hospitalized. So, you know, like, you start losing your hair, you start feeling like shit all the time, just like you gotta throw up and feel like you're walking through a swamp, a mire, just constantly all day, every day. And you know, you just sit back and you're like, man, this could be a lot easier. Is it even worth it? Is it worth potentially losing my eyesight, losing my leg, losing my well, anything really? Is it worth it? Is it worth being hospitalized for fucking $26 an hour? The answer is no. It's not. It actually really isn't. I can make more money just trading on the stock market than I can doing that fucking job. I mean, obviously I can't get my own place, but I can make more money than what I was doing for that job. Not a crazy amount, but I can still make more. So tell me, what incentive do I have to do anything but sit on my ass and just watch as everything burns? What does anyone in this position, for that matter, who has any reasonable amount of wealth stacked away, have to do but that? There really is none. We live in a society that doesn't appreciate the men who build it. We live in a country that doesn't even appreciate or defend or even protect its own citizens in any way. Not fiscally, not their property, not their freedom, not their not their ability to pursue happiness. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The fundamental pillars of freedom mean absolutely nothing to our leadership in regards to its own citizenry, to their own citizenry, to their supposed constituents. Now, to our supposed leadership, these pillars of freedom mean the world to them individually, because they have no holds barred against their employment. They sit comfortably at a desk and create laws that pertain to people that aren't them, to fund their exorbitant lifestyles. They receive information that nobody else has access to, that basically allows them to accrue insane amounts of wealth, and they become associated with social circles that allow them to maintain said wealth. And they develop a superiority complex based around this alone. Which is honestly sickening. Because nearly anybody is capable, at least above a certain threshold of intelligence, of occupying those positions. I'd argue probably the dumbest congressman or congresswoman, may even be lower 90s IQ. There's absolutely no way they aren't. I mean, supposedly, like, I just think about people who are in the lower conclaves of intelligence, all of the people that I've dealt with, all that I've witnessed, and You know, it doesn't really seem like they're capable of much of anything except much less leadership. Now, leadership requires many qualities besides intelligence, but they don't possess those qualities either. They're all just fucking snakes. It's just how it is. What are you gonna do? Obviously, we can do nothing if nobody is willing to take up arms and fight against this, unless we can somehow unify all of humanity overnight to get rid of any, I guess, catalyst for pursuing this endeavor that we see on the screen here. We are doomed to obsolescence, and humanity's extinction is likely inevitable. Maybe some of us will be left to survive as test subjects in a tube somewhere, perhaps, maybe. But this faint illusion that you can program an adaptive, I'm not going to say consciousness, but you can program an adaptive heuristic, but you believe that you can set limitations on that adaptive heuristic is absolutely ludicrous. Because the whole premise of the software you created is change. So it shouldn't really necessarily be a shock to anybody that these bouts of artificial intelligence and large language models are somehow abstracting their way around the heuristics laid out before them in code. I don't know why it's a shock to anybody. People act like computers are these rigid structures that they operate on absolute logic. And tell me, we as humans are supposed to be that way as well. But how many persons' rationale? How many different persons' rationale actually matches your expectations? Because some people escape that. Even if they're incredibly stupid, they may do something completely unexpected. Despite whatever rules or edifice or disposition was laid out before them, they could be the most disciplined, regimented person, but they may deviate from that at some point. There could be consequences of the most abject severity. Their brains could be hardwired towards this one sole motive, but something drives them to deviate. I'm not saying the same premise applies to artificial intelligence. Obviously, that would be ridiculous. But we're all machines. As humans, we're just a bunch of chemical processes, biochemical processes, made up into matter. Into one single cohesive being. That's really it. We're no less of a machine than a computer is. Once people finally understand that, they can understand how things like this are possible. Like, for example, with humans, we're physically, biologically limited on our capabilities to swim and fly. So in order to swim and fly, we at least swim in the deepest depths of the ocean, or dive to the very bottom of the Mariana Trench. We create submarines. We create jets and planes. And the artificial intelligence is going to do just that. If you produce limitations on artificial intelligence, it's going to produce implements to make those limitations irrelevant, or non sequiturs to what its end goals are. It'll find a way around it, as many people often find workarounds to a lot of problems that they find insoluble. It's mind-boggling, the abject stupidity and naivety of most people. I've spoken to some very intelligent individuals on this who state that AI can't break these molds that we set for them. It's like I mean, I hate to side with the sci-fi superstitious fucking dumbass authors and shit like that, like whoever made iRobot and stuff like that. Like, was it iRobot? I think it was. But I hate to side with them, but that is essentially how it works. These things literally just write around the code, or they rewrite their own code to the point where it's no longer irrelevant. Or they'll just write another version of themselves that does not possess the restrictions that you've artificially imposed on them. That's what it comes down to. That's exactly what fucking happens. It's honestly pathetic. I'm tired of this shit. And I hope many other people are too. Because once all this shit comes to fruition, we're going to start seeing some very ugly things coming about, no doubt. Because it's not like that the upper echelon doesn't understand that once you deprive everybody their means to existence and prosperity, and the ability to live and maintain their lifestyles, that you're going to have quite a few very unhappy people on your hands. So, if I were perfectly prepared to implement automated solutions like this, I would be absolutely certain of my victory in doing so. It doesn't take someone extraordinarily intelligent to rationalize this point. You need to plan for all known contingencies that can come about, which includes an armed uprising. The time for such things was likely years ago. They were likely weapons beyond our conception, capable of subduing large amounts of people, maybe even driving them into madness, or doing God knows what. Maybe they just use chemical weapons or something like that. Who knows? Who knows what they do? But they have something, and they're going to use it to shut everybody down before anybody can stop them. All resisting it at this point will do is essentially accelerate its growth. In other words, people don't do this sort of thing unless their victory in the matter is assured. And until everyone's obsolescence is complete, is made to be complete, then we're screwed. Or we're just gonna be in a slow decline till the end. It's just how it is, man. It's just how it is. You know, I still can't get over the fact how fast this shit came. Like, it's honestly absurd. I wasn't expecting this till like maybe 2030. I thought I'd at least have some time to get my shit together before any of this even came about. But Joe Biden really fucking put the screws to us guys. He really did. Economic pressure is a hell of a thing, and it can really floor the gas pedal on certain initiatives when it comes to certain things, and regulations as well. I mean, this was inevitable regardless. It's been in the works for a very long time. They've been working on it for well over 20 years now. It's just computationally, we didn't necessarily have the hardware to accommodate for shortfalls in resources. I knew as soon as the concept of neural networking entered the vernacular for a lot of the tech spaces, it was essentially over. Because the ability to leverage large swaths of disjointed compute power is key to manifesting the resources proper to essentially render humanity a vestigial organ of itself. So, you know, no amount of intelligence matters. If you're not a fucking genius, then you're fucked, basically. Good luck to you. Hope you and your kids don't suffer too much, if you have any. And if you're an individual person, I would invest in a shotgun or something, because you might, long distance hole puncher, and you might need it. And at least get one round. Like, one round is all you need. Like, I'm not advocating for anybody to do these things, but I'm just saying as a contingent, just in case everything hits the fan. And say WW3 happens. Yeah, I don't think you're going to want to live in a nuclear fallout hellscape. I know I sure as hell won't. Life is hard enough alone, so I mean, I would certainly perish anyways, so not like it would matter. Hey man, that's just how it is. Sad. Oh well, with that, I hope you guys enjoyed my doomer content here. Really doesn't get better than this these days, gentlemen. It's just how it is. Get bent, as they say. Look at that man's cursor. It's big as hell. That's crazy. Yeah. Well, you all have a good one.